Mishnah Zayin. בור של מים, a pit of water, a well, ברשות הרבים, public domain, it's in the public domain, וחולייתו גבוהה 10 טפחים. And the boundaries around him is a high 10 טפחים. So explain, what do you mean the boundaries around him? כשחופרים בור, when you dig a pit, מניחים סביבו את האפר, you put around it the earth שמוצאים מתוכו, that you take from inside of it, שיהיה לו שפה. They do it so that people aren't going to fall into it, the animals aren't going to fall into it, the people aren't going to fall into it. כמעקה מסביב, it's just like a fence. והאפר זה נקרא חוליית הבור, and this is called the חוליה of the pit. ובא המשנה ללמד, here comes the Mishnah to teach us, שאם חוליית הבור שברשות הרבים, what happens if this earth around the well גבוהה 10 טפחים, it is more than 10 טפחים high, and the well is right outside of your window, right? So the pit is in the public domain, you're going to go out of the window, right? Now, we had a similar thing, if you remember before, that you had a balcony over the water. You remember? But that means that the water underneath the balcony is private domain. Over here, the water is in the public domain. It's not in the private domain. But it has a wall more than 10 tfachim. And when you're taking the bucket out of the pit, the water out of the well, the water goes in the public domain all the way. And then in order to come to the window, it moves over 10 tfachim, and 10 tfachim is makom ptur. So that's the question. Are you allowed now to take the bucket is straight into your window? That's right. So חלון שעל גביו, the window that's on top of it, כשיש חלון בקיר הבית על גבי אותו בור, next to that pit, or well, ממלאים הימנו בשבת. You're allowed to take from that pit on Shabbat. מים דרך החלון, water through the window. שערי החלון והבור, שניהם רשות היחיד הם. Because both, you've got two private domains over here. You're not taking from a public domain to a private domain. The fact that it is the well is surrounded by a wall makes the well a private domain, and there's no public, and you're not carrying it through a public domain to another private domain. בגמרא מבארים את משנתנו, in the Gemara they explain our Mishnah, בשני פנים, in two manners. It says, it depends how it looks like. שהבור רחוק מן הקיר 4 טפחים. It says, when the pit is far from the wall 4 טפחים, ובא המשנה ללמד, and the Mishnah comes to teach, שאם החוליה של הבור גבוהה 10 טפחים, that as long as the fence around the pit is high 10 טפחים, מותר למלא מים מן הבור דרך החלון. You're allowed to take water from the well through the window. Why? שהרי מכניס את המים מרשות היחיד, the well is the private domain, לרשות היחיד, your house is a private domain, and you enter from a private domain to the other private domain, דרך מקום פטור, through a place it's called מקום פטור, it's higher than 10 טפחים. שהאוויר לרשות הרבים למעלה מ10 טפחים, מקום פטור הוא. Because the air of the public domain of the 4 טפחים in between them, it is מקום פטור. אבל אם החוליה אינה גבוהה 10 טפחים, but if this fence is not high 10 טפחים, then the bucket is going to go through the air of the public domain before 10 טפחים, then you're in trouble. You're already obligated from just taking the water out, for getting to your window. אסור למלא מן הבור, you're not allowed to fill this from the spit, שהרי מכניס מרשות היחיד לרשות היחיד דרך אוויר רשות הרבים, because then you're entering from private domain to another private domain through the public domain, and that's not allowed. That's the first opinion. First opinion, כשהבור סמוך לקיר, when the pit is right next to the window. And you would do it on purpose. They will dig a well and then they will build the house right next to it so it will be convenient, almost indoor plumbing. היינו שאין בינו לקיר אלא פחות מ4 טפחים. Between the pit or between the fence and the wall it's less than 4 טפחים. ובא המשנה להשמיעני, and then the Mishnah comes to teach us, שהבור וחוליותו מצטרפים ל10 טפחים. That the pit and the fence join to 10 טפחים. כלומר, which means, שאפילו הבור עצמו אינו עמוק 10 טפחים. That even if the pit itself is not private domain. In other words, in order to be the pit, for the pit to be private domain, the pit needs to be 10 טפחים. The pit is only 2 טפחים. But the fence above it is 8 טפחים. It will count as if you're taking it from a private domain still, not a public domain. Because otherwise it will be taken from a public domain. You didn't make it a private domain, the pit. אלא חוליותו משלימו ל10 טפחים. The fence around them completes it to 10 טפחים. דינו כרשות היחיד, we're going to consider it like private domain because of the fence. ומותר למלא ממנו מים בשבת דרך החלון. You're allowed to use from such a pit water on Shabbat through the window. שהואיל והמרחק שבין הבור לקיר היא פחות מ4 טפחים. Because the distance between the pit and your wall is less than 4 טפחים. מקום פטור הוא. It is considered to be a מקום פטור. ונמצא, and then even, and then it comes very interesting. If the pit is 5, let's say 5 טפחים deep, and the chuliya is also 5 טפחים deep, which means you're going to take the bucket, it looks like into the public domain. You're still allowed to. Says why? Yeah, but it's the chuliya is only 5 טפחים. Which means that as soon as you go above 5 טפחים, it's public domain. You're still in the air of the public domain. Why would you be allowed to? No, but you can't because you're taking it out. You are going to take it out of that area, out of the boundary. So it says, why am I still going to say that you're still allowed to? Because it's true you're taking it to the air of the public domain. But because the distance between my wall and the pit is less than 4 טפחים, I'm allowed to. That space is makom ptur. Yeah, that's the way he learns it. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't. There's no private. There's no public domain over there.
And how you learn if it's 5, as you said. Let's say it's deep 5 טפחים, and it's high 5 טפחים, but it's not 4 feet.
Then you're stuck.
But they said that the wall מצטרף. You join it. If it's 2 טפחים down and 8 טפחים up, then it's like considered.
Yeah, but then you're still going to be stuck because you're taking it to the air of the public domain.
So why do they מצרף it? What do you gain out of it?
They're relating the Mishnahs in 2 different ways.
No, I'm not talking here. I'm talking before when we learned that when you add the 2 walls together, the depth of the well and the top.
You're making it into a private domain and not a public domain because if there's no fence around it at all, the pit is considered to be public domain. The fence makes it into a private domain. Yeah, the fact that it has 10 טפחים deep, that and the fence around that makes it a public. Yeah, it makes it a private domain, the well itself. ונמצא מביא את המים מרשות היחיד לרשות היחיד דרך מקום פטור. And the distance between the wall and your pit is only less than 4 טפחים, and that's מקום פטור. It says you're not obligated. וכן, similarly, אשפה ברשות הרבים גבוהה 10 טפחים. Interesting thing. You've got a garbage dump. You know your garbage bin outside of there. You put your garbage outside of one of the windows. And you throw things over there all the time from the that's your garbage. That window you use, everything flies out of the window. That garbage dump now is more than 10 טפחים high. The question is, am I allowed to throw garbage out onto it on Shabbos? It's מקום פטור. It's not רשות הרבים anymore. It's not public domain.
It's 4 foot
Yeah, it has the measurement. It has the measurement next to the house, and it's more than 10 tfachim. Continue to throw garbage. That's how it looks like. וכן, and similarly, אשפה ברשות הרבים גבוהה 10 טפחים. If you have a garbage dump outside your house, in the public domain, the height is more than 10 טפחים, רשות היחידי, it becomes private domain. ולפיכך, חלון שעל גבה, and therefore a window that's on top of it, דרך החלון שעל גבי האשפה, זו, through the window that's on top of this garbage dump, שופכים לתוכה מים בשבת. You're allowed to pour water out of it, your dirt water, just pour it out the window, whatever you want. Why? שהרי מוציאים מרשות היחיד לרשות היחיד דרך מקום פטור. Because you are allowed to take from private domain to another private domain through a מקום פטור. כמו שבארנו לעיל בעניין הבור, just like we explained before, when it comes to the pit. בגמרא אמרו, in the Gemara they said, שדווקא בהשפעה של רבים מותר לשפוך לתוכה. It says, no, don't jump to conclusion so far. It's only if this garbage dump everybody uses. Many people use this garbage dump. But if it's only you're the only one who throw over there, you will not be allowed to. Let's see, what's the difference? שדווקא בהשפעה של רבים מותר לשפוך לתוכה. Only if it belongs to the many, you're allowed to pour into it. דרך החלון בשבת, through the window on Shabbat. Why? לפי שאינה עשויה להיפנות ולהינטל משם. Because if it belongs to the many, it stays there. That's the garbage dump. Nobody cleans it. It's there. But if it's your personal, you're the only one who's throwing out there, you know what we're afraid? We're afraid that once in a while you're going to go outside and you're going to clean it. It's next to your window. It doesn't belong to the public. Not everybody throws there. If everybody throws there, nobody's going to go clean everybody else's garbage. But if it's you're the only one who's throwing there, you might come and clean it once in a while. And then what's going to happen? אבל בהשפעה של יחיד, but if it's you, the only one who's using it, אסור לשפוך לתוכה דרך חלון בשבת. You're not allowed to pour into it through the window on Shabbat. It says, why? It's the same thing. It's more than 10 טפחים. What are you afraid of? גזרה, it's a decree. שמא יפנו אותה ויחזור המקום להיות רשות הרבים. It says, because you're the only one who's using it, somebody's going to come and clear it, and then it's going to be less than 10 טפחים, and you're continuing to throw outside. ומתוך הרגל לא ייזהר ויוסיף לשפוך לשם. And you're used to throwing things outside through the window, and you're going to use it. ומוציא מרשות היחיד לרשות הרבים. Then you're going to be taking from the private domain to the public domain.